Of all the movies I used to watch on repeat when I was younger, Open Season is the one film that keeps getting worse for me. On the surface, it's one of those movies that, more or less, just came and went when it was released, and is the kind of movie that wouldn't be talked about today if it wasn't for which studio that made it. Sony Pictures Animation nowadays is known for giving us stuff like the Hotel Transylvania movies, Into the Spider-Verse, and The Mitchells vs. the Machines. But before all that, they gave us Open Season. And as a studio's first feature film, it's a really weak start. Speaking of which, let's talk about that. Boog, a grizzly bear who's been raised all his life by humans, spends his days working as a performing animal and just enjoys the luxury and safety of human civilization. One day, he meets a deer named Elliot, and the two hit it off pretty quickly. But when their hijinks makes the people believe they've gone feral, both are released into the wilderness. With no idea where town is and hunting season just 2 days away, Boog and Elliot embark on a journey to find Boog's home, all the while meeting many colorful characters and avoiding the gun of the sadistic hunter, Shaw, who firmly believes that an animal uprising is inevitable. While I did grow up watching this movie and thus have a nostalgic connection with it, this movie is definitely a lot worse than I remember. While something like Speckles the Tarbosaurus hasn't exactly held up, it still has aspects of it I really like. The same can't be said about Open Season. I mean, there's still things I like in it. I like the first half where Boog is just enjoying life with his owner and where Elliot is somewhat likable. And I forgot how enjoyable of a villain Shaw is. He makes this movie a whole lot better whenever he's on screen. And as a guy who likes spending time at the river access down the street, I obviously like the wilderness aesthetic. It's bright, vibrant, no one spot looks the same, and it has a distinct stylization to it that makes it reminiscent of a wilderness painting. It makes it look distinct from a lot of other movies from that same year. A precursor to what would come? Probably not, but who knows. TLDR, for the studio's first fully CGI animated movie, it looks pretty good. But other than that, there's really not much else going for it. None of the characters are likable, the comedy is very hit or miss, and for the whole runtime, I just feel really bad for Boog. I honestly would rather him go back to Timberline, as there is literally no good reason for him to stay in the woods. Actually, now that I think of it, almost everything bad that happens to Boog in this movie is almost never his fault. It is Elliot's fault. Elliot is a horrible influence on Boog and a terrible friend. He starts off somewhat charming and funny, and he has one or two good lines, but after that, he's the cause of a lot of the movie's conflict. He abandons Boog to take the blame for what happens at the gas station. He sabotages Boog's performance and gets him kicked out of town. He lies to Boog just so he'd hang out with him, and he's mostly just being really unhelpful throughout their journey. This guy is an annoying setback whose friendship offers nothing to Boog that his owner could not provide for him. I was happy when Boog told him to go prance off and not come back. Elliot deserved it. He doesn't deserve any friends. And I can totally see why no one, literally no one in this entire wilderness likes him. But no, we can't split up the main duo, ooh woo. In summary, this movie has its moments and just enough good stuff to keep it from being a bad movie, but it also doesn't have enough good stuff in it to keep it from getting any lower than a 4 out of 10. There is literally nothing else to say about it. Moving on. I'd like to give a huge shout out to Undead Sonic 89 for his courteous $30 pledge on Patreon. Through his support, both this channel and my second one can keep making bigger and better projects. Thank you tremendously for your support.